the top big moments too. But yeah, I think fundamentally the idea was to do like an album that was very small. Yeah.
You did so much research into the stories on this record.
Don't need too much.
Wow. You mentioned before.
You have the top paragraph of Wikipedia as
oh, really? Cliff notes.
Yeah.
Was it York notes? I think it was throwback to schooling for me. But yeah, did you have any favourites, or were there any that actually didn't make its way into the song?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess it's kind of an ever-expanding project, and once I sort of hit a groove at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, I couldn't stop writing, and you know, the last songs to come were like Jamie Sao and Mademoiselle, and I remember going into, we had 3 weeks to record it. We did a week at my house and then we did 2 weeks in the studio, and everyone I was working with kept adding more songs to the list, and they were like, stop it, that's really annoying, so much work. So it's 17 songs, and that's that sort of nerd board over there. For anyone that can't see it, it's like it looks like a serial killer. It's trying to arrange something awful. A very organised serial killer. So yeah, I guess we went into the studio with 17 songs and a lot to do. But I guess what different, you asked about my process, what different this time was I kind of tried to make myself finish the songs before we started recording. Normally with me, and Mark, who produces everything with me, long suffering, he is used to me sort of trying to finish writing while we're recording as well. So I'm like very, very bad at committing to finished lyrics and stuff, which is really annoying for the guy that has to record the vocals. So but with this, I was like, no, they're going to be done. So I had to give them to everyone to learn, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so going in with just the recording bit, which I know this is really obvious to most other bands and artists and musicians, but like turns out doing the work before you get in the studio makes it way better. I still managed to completely mess that up though. We ran out of time to do my vocals, so that was left till afterwards, and then they're like, oh, the album will be done by March, then crept on and I started rewriting. Anyway, I found Essie and Paul a quite hard song to write because they're just these two amazing, monumental people who did so much, and I found it quite hard to I wanted to sort of represent them both as well as possible, but their relationship was really complex, so I like, yeah, that was tricky. I'm happy with it, but also like, I'm not an authority on any of these people, and these songs are like a sort of snapshot, an impression and a feeling, so that's kind of why the podcast exists, is, you know, really wanted a space to allow people to explore who these people really were, why they're remembered, if they are rightly or wrongly, or, you know, in any different way. I don't know what that is. Because I don't want to feel like I'm trying to insert myself in the stories and be any kind of authority whatsoever.
If people do want to deep dive at all, you can find the podcast.
Yeah, we built a thing called like a hub, which was for a want of anyone having any ideas. What should we call it? The hub? It's stuff, but yeah, we're as a kind of a space for like a little bit of information about these people and resources, and obviously the reason the titles are so ridiculously, pretentiously long is I want them to be searchable. You know, I don't imagine that everyone's going to care, but if you love the album and love the song, or hear the song in the middle of nowhere and, you know, want to search for who they are, that might lead you down a similar excited, nerdy rabbit hole to why would that?
Well, I want to get on to the fan questions, because you lovely lot sent in so many good questions.
Thanks.
So I might, you know, give us a wave if you feel happy to, a couple or two. Thank you.
Sorry, sir.
So the first question is from Alan. Alan, do you want to give a wave if you're here?
Hey Alan, how's it going? Thanks for coming.
So Alan's question is, at which point of the album creation did you figure out every song would have an "and" in the middle, and that you'd stick to that theme?
Oh, that was early doors. Yeah, so the reason I'm wearing this today, and I know that it's even more of a loser than normal, is going into the recording of the album, because that's why some of them you're like, why do you put an ampersand right at the end of the sentence? Because I was like, that's the rule. It has to be the rule. Yeah, that was that was a decision quite early on, and then going into making the album, I was really aware of feeling quite sorry for the people that had to live with me for 3 weeks. So I sort of made this like fictional merch for an album that didn't exist yet. Made those bags, and I gave everyone a bag like that with a kind of like survival kit to having to get up with me. So it's like there was some clothes, there was some like calming candles, some insects, there was a little cyanide pillbox for painkillers. What else was in there? And like notebooks and stuff as well. I don't know. I guess I always feel like I was doing me a favour, and to some extent, it works for me is, you know, and I just wanted to make the experience as nice as possible for everyone. It was cool.
The next question is from Helen.
Hi Helen, how you doing?
Yeah, right, you?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good question. Is this a punctuation era of Dan Smith, like Ed Sheeran? That's a question.
Yeah, we can call it that market, sorry for sharing. I take that back, I'm very sorry. No. It's definitely an Ampersand thing. Like this is a world I could creatively sit in this for such a long time. As part of every week in the podcast, Emma sets me, I think I said before, like a different person to write that. So I've got this ever-growing pile of songs I'm writing. And, there were other stories and other songs that maybe didn't make the album, even though I tried to cram them all in for 2 weeks. So yeah, I think I'll just stick to this. My friend actually sent me a link to an Instagram video about the history of the Ampersand, and yesterday I knew none of it, which is mortifying. So everyone that assumes knowledge on my behalf, I know it all.
Amazing. Another Helen, if there's another Helen in the room.
Other Helen?
Other Helen. Helen's question is, if someone else was writing a song about you in the style of this album, what would be the other and? So, Dan and... ... That's for you to decide. Let's come back to that. Okay.
What's my imagination?
Next question is from Peter. Peter, are you around?
Hi Peter.
Hi.
How's it going? Thanks for coming in.
With an album with such a specific theme, how creatively challenging was it to stay within that concept?
Yeah, good question. It was alright. I think it was breaking out of it being about pairs of people, because initially there's a song called Bonnie and Clyde that's about the couple Bonnie and Clyde who were kind of films about them, and they were like on the run and they're committing crimes as this famous couple thing, but their lives were quite gritty and they were very poor growing up and they sort of were living in a dust bowl. But there's this perception of them that existed while they were alive in the media. Basically, they took these photos of themselves posing as gangsters, and Bonnie used to write this poetry that's really cool, but basically the press got hold of that and they kind of perpetuated like an untrue version of their lives where they were these like big gangsters. And their reality wasn't that, and I just thought how interesting it would have been to be living A, that life, but B, in the shadow of this like fictional version of yourself. It must have been mad. So there's that, and then there was Leonard and Marianne, and then yeah, I guess in thinking about it not wanting to be that, I then, with my friend Ralph, wrote this song Marianne Polonian that was about the idea of Marie Curie and her relationship with this element that she discovered, that she named after Poland, which obviously, I guess the complicated relationships we have with the places we're from, like she's in Poland, it was illegal for her to study at university level because she was a woman at the time, and I guess it's still amazing what she did. Her and her sister, they both sort of were educated underground and in secret, and then they both worked to pay for the other one to go to university, which is just amazing. I mean, like, it's incredible. Those lives are amazing. So I guess in that, trying to write her relationship with this thing that she discovered and named after who she's from, but it also killed her, ultimately leads to radiation. So, I don't know. I guess the rule is I just have to find it interesting. And look for the thing in these people that I thought was like resonated with me, or spoke to like the experiences of people in my life, or a question I wanted to ask them that I didn't understand. Yeah, that answers your question. Sorry, I feel like I really evaded that.
More creative in that 30 seconds.
Next up, Michelle.
Michelle. Hi, Michelle. I think you really want everyone to focus on you.
Michelle's question is: do you have a muse yourself, creatively or personally?
I guess all the people in these stories are muses, and as Emma rightly points out, she's the one who points me to those of these stories. So in a lot of ways, she at the moment she is as well. Yeah, I guess because I've always written about other people, and then you end up kind of you and your life and the people around you sort of get dragged into the songs that you mean. I guess like it sounds like a cop out, but I guess like most things I sort of find inspiration in a lot of stuff because I have no original ideas, so I just copy all the time.
Amy's question is Amy around? Please wave your
Hi, Amy.
Is there anything in particular you hope will come across tonally on the album to inspire further arts? Sorry. And have you seen instances of Ampersand being a muse itself, a meta muse?
Yes.
We're getting very meta.
Yeah. Well, I guess in a way, the songs allowed Harriet to do the art that she did, which I am such a massive fan of. And I think once the album's been made, everything you then do around it is kind of like a springboard from that. But I love seeing, like when I see art that other people have done that's inspired by the songs, or like, even tattoos, like anything that comes from that, or covers of the songs, anything like that is always so exciting, because I still think, even with our first album, and a lot of the songs I've ever made start literally on some headphones on my laptop at home. So it still blows my mind that people that I don't really know have a relationship with these songs, and that might want to inspire them to go off and do something creative as well is bonkers to me. So yeah, I guess with this whole album, like it sounds really cheesy, but I sort of wanted everything in and around it to be as inclusive as possible. And if people send me ideas for other people to write songs about, I'll probably know it.
Your next question is from Adam.
Hi Adam. Hi. How's it going?
He says, how hard / easy was it to order the track list? What was the process?
That was really hard. We actually, and like I have a habit of doing this, of like finishing an album and getting mastered, which is the last bit. So the songs get mixed and then they get mastered, and that's when it like sort of all levels out, and that's the last bit of the process before it gets like put onto vinyl or whatever. And we had it like unmastered so that I could read it. So I'm really annoyed. Yeah, it was tricky, given as well that there's more songs than there was sort of space in the album, and I guess that the process of releasing it as well, doing it in parts was a great idea, not mine. It was a great idea because it allowed us to, I really wanted to sort of start something new with this and sort of shift the tone a bit with the first release, and so starting really small, the first 4 tracks, I really wanted it to feel like a very different world to maybe what we expected, and that was kind of the brief for the whole album for me. So doing that, and then kind of opening the sonic world and the stories like a bit more as we went on, has been really fun. But so the track listing was a nightmare. Yeah. I guess I always think about like the pairings of stories and how they relate to each other, and the sonics of it, and the kind of the journey that it takes you on. I remember I think Emma was like, you've got to put Eve first, surely, it's the first story. I was thinking there's intros, so. Eve goes second, which is a whole other thing. But like I sort of love what we got to with it, because I think it sort of stays faithful to the sort of starting small, and then it kind of explodes at different points, and it kind of for an album that was meant to be about other people, it's probably my most personal thing that I've made, and it kind of starts with intros, which is, I just wanted to make something that was very bluntly like, I know writing about other people is complicated. I know that every story you read, be it like in like the news or the media or a book or a film, like everything comes with an authorial perspective. And even if someone's trying to be completely neutral, they're always going to bring a part of themselves, a part of their experience to how they write and what they write, you know, consciously or subconsciously. And so I was like, I had battled a bit with this process of being like, oh, I wanted to write about these people. So I just wanted to sort of tackle that head on intro. So it kind of starts with that, and it's pretty like explicit and blunt, that song, and then finish with, I guess, my voice again through the end of Telegraph Road, which is sort of bookend it. This is so self-indulgent, I'm sorry. I just had a weird zoom out moment of, anyway.
That is great, thank you for your question.
Yeah,
the next question is from Rowena.
hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm right. Rowena's question is, Dan Smith, the other Dan Smith, still teaching you guitar. How you learned?
So for anyone that doesn't, if anyone's ever been to New York, there's this guy called Dan Smith who's like, there are these posters basically in every doorway on Manhattan that say Dan Smith will teach you guitar. It's this guy who, like, another generic white guy with brown hair. He's like that. And so anyone that I know who's been to New York and seen those posters sends me a photo, they're like, it's you. Like, still as funny as the first guy. I say that, I was very excited to see my first Dan Smith teaching guitar. The irony being that I up until recently haven't really been able to play guitar at all. Which was a kind of point of pride, because that's what you have to do when you double down on a decision. I guess I always liked, because I'm in a band, there's like an expectation that I like music, I like playing music, I just love music, but I'm not that guy at a party who's going to be like, hey, let me just crack the guitar out and start playing Wonderwall. So I've always quite liked not being able to play guitar, because they never asked me to at a party, not that they ever would, but if they did, I could be like, no. Anyway, cut to now. So we've got the stage guys guitar. Dan Smith is, when we were going to New York earlier this year, before going to the Media Triangle on the Greenpeace boat, normal sentence, as we were coming to land, I played Blue Sky and the Painter on the Greenpeace boat and was very aware of how bad I was at the guitar, and it was very exposed. It's just me on the boat playing this song. And as we were coming into land in New York, I was like, oh, why not Dan Smith? That'd be funny. So myself and Bo, our manager, one of our managers, we just hounded him. I think he's aware of, he's a bit of a kind of local legend in New York because people know that picture and that poster, and so I think he's understandably quite kind of sensitive to anyone that's going in to working with him for the wrong reasons or taking a piss or anything like that. So I think he was a little bit guarded, but then I got him on the phone, and I think he was like also then terrified because I was so excited. And it was lovely actually. I went there, spent the afternoon at his studio, and he taught me some stuff. Did it solve one problem? No. You can't do that 2 hours, but yeah, he was brilliant and really generous with his time, and yeah.
That's perfect.
Just lost my train of thought, sorry.
Okay, we've got 2 more super quick, so we'll just do quick questions.
What are you saying? My answers are really long.
No, it's just like I've had the tap on the shoulder. So. Just a quick one from Rob. How did you get into the headspace for the characters of the stories? And Rob, what do you have?
Hey Rob. Yeah, good question. The research was like very unacademic. It was like watching films and reading books and listening to podcasts and stuff. And I guess some of them are like, some of them are kind of from the perspective of one of the people. Some of them are asked, like Chengi Sao has been kind of posing questions that just blows my mind, things that she achieved. And yeah, some were kind of imagined. I guess, yeah, I thought quite a lot about. I guess in songs they're only 3 minutes long, so the changing of a tense or a pronoun or you know, the odd word can have a huge impact in my mind on what it's saying, what it's saying to other people. So I did think about it a lot. And some of them, you know, some of them came through a lot of conversations with friends or people in my life, and yeah, I don't know, to get in the headspace. I often, like, if I'm stuck with a song, I have to kind of, my brain is annoying and there's like 50 tabs open at once, and so like, when these songs were on the go, they're all rattling around, and so I'm going to get on with life and do more stuff, and I'll be in the most inconvenient place, and something will pop into my mind, but I have to go write it down. I have to go sit next to my phone. So everyone in my life thinks I'm insane, and rightly so. But yeah, I guess I often find with music that sort of sitting down to do it and force it doesn't really work for me. Like, so yeah, lots of distractions, and then stuff often just happens. But yeah, in terms of the headspace, yeah, I guess across the whole thing I tried to be as thoughtful and respectful and kind of representative as possible. But it's a flawed process, and I think there would be more, and I might make mistakes and all that kind of stuff. It's sort of part of it. And committing to the final thing was a nightmare. For me. But yeah, I'm happy with that bit, I think.
We're going to leave it there with the final questions.
Thank you. Sorry, that was a good question.
No, it was great. Thank you for all your questions, and thank you for coming along
Yeah,
and
thanks so much.
watching. Yeah, thank you, Dan Smith.